Hello, welcome to a TBR video. It feels like I haven't done a TBR video in months and months and months, but it can realistically only have been a month because I did do one for April. So it can't have been that long, but it feels like it's been a really long time. But maybe that's just because throughout all of April I don't think I've done any sit-down videos and I've just done vlogs. It could be that. It could just be the sit-down video element of it feels like it's been a long time. Anyway, I'm here to do... I'm here to lose my voice. I'm here to do a TBR for the month of May, which is rapidly creeping up, and I am scared because I feel like I'm so behind on 30 books in 30 days for April, but that doesn't matter anymore. May mindset, moving on. You'll find out how April went in the last vlog of April, and maybe I'll do an April wrap-up. Will I? If I do, that'd be rapid. Anyway, besides the point, let's get on with a May TBR. In the month of May, I am doing another reading challenge with my patrons. This was a challenge that was created by one of my patrons, Soph, so shout out to Soph for the May reading challenge idea. So in May, we are tackling a May of Mammoths. Mammoths of May. May Mammoths. And we are hopefully aiming to spend some time combating some of the bigger books on our TBRs for the month of May. So, some chunkers. With that in mind, this TBR is pretty small, quantity-wise, because the page count is pretty large, and I also wanted to leave space to do an episode of Shelf Reflections. At the point of filming this, I haven't started that, I haven't done the roll, I don't know what shelf I will end up on, so I still wanted to leave some room to do that episode as well, which actually maybe makes this a little bit daft, because on top of doing an episode of Shelf Reflections, these books are quite chunky. But that's the whole point, so let's crack on with it. For May Mammoths, the Patreon buddy read for the month of May is The Lies of Loch Lamora. Now, this is on a priority list for me for this year, so I did really need to get to it anyway. And Soph, as well as coming up with the challenge for the month of May, also got to pick the buddy read. It seems to have become a thing that my patrons now, like, a random patron gets selected to pick the buddy read, so that's a new thing that's just kind of come about of itself. But yeah, Soph picked The Lies of Loch Lamora. This is the first book of... Is it called The Gentleman Bastards? It is called The Gentleman Bastards. And I think there is a thief, maybe? I don't know anything about this book. I have the broken binding editions of all three of these, and I don't know anything about them. Loch Lamora is a fabled thorn. Thorn of Camor is said to be an unbeatable swordsman, a master thief, a friend to the poor, and a ghost that walks through walls. And Loch Lamora is the fabled thorn. He does steal from the rich, who else would be worth stealing from, but the poor never see a penny. All of Loch's gains are strictly for himself and his tight-knit band of thieves, the Gentleman Bastards. So, like Robin Hood, but not Robin Hood, because he doesn't give to the poor. He is totally out for himself. Interesting. The ancient city of Camor is the only home they've ever known, but a clandestine war is threatening to tear it apart. Caught up in a murderous game, Loch and his friends are suddenly struggling just to stay alive. Okay, they're plodding along, stealing, and then a war threatens their way of life. Sounds like a good time. Sounds like a classic, like, epic, maybe slightly grimdark fantasy. I don't know. I'm learning that I don't know what grimdark is, but I don't normally like it, so we'll see how this goes. I got this book on clearance for £3, would you believe it? And then I've got fancy editions that cost me a small fortune. But yeah, that's the buddy read for May. We'll see what I make of that. Moving on. I'm putting this on a TBR to hopefully force myself to actually read it. Fury of a Demon by Brian Nasland. This is the third and final book in the Dragons of Terror. It is a small brick, but a brick nonetheless. We are still like into 600 pages, so I still think this counts as a mammoth. But also, There might be a final book support group happening in May. Correct me if I'm wrong. There might be. And I need some support to get through this final book of this trilogy. This has become my new joke of a book that's taken me too long to get to, because I did manage to read Legacy of Light, much to everyone's shock. This is my next, come on, third book in a trilogy. You really need to pull yourself together and actually read it sort of book. The first one in this series is Blood of an Exile, and then we've got Sorcery of a Queen. The first one follows an exile, but in this world, when you're sent into exile, you are sentenced to become a dragon hunter, a dragon slayer, and our main character, who, although is in exile because he has done great wrong, I can't remember exactly what he supposedly did. It's been a while since I read the first ones. I might need to look up a bit of a recap. I'm not going to reread them because then I'll never get to this one, but I might need to look up a bit of a recap to see exactly what that dude did. He becomes a bit of a famed dragon hunter in the process of his exile, and he has connections to the princess, and the princess is definitely someone who is more than meets the eye. She is a smart woman and she is looking for a better future for their people. I can't remember what I can tell you that actually happens in book 1. So this is bad of me, but I don't want to spoil book 2, which is Sorcery of a Queen, because I feel like book 2 took the series in a bit of a different direction, where we landed on a lot more of the magic and possibilities of this world. But I don't know how much of that was actually present in book 1, so I don't want to tell you about that. But there's rebellion, there's war, there's death, there's uprising, there's, people that want good, there's people that want bad. The land is in chaos, a hero heads for war. Yeah, and it's the third book, so I should probably read it. Okay, moving on. Another sequel that I would like to get to, The Fire Within by Matthew Ward. Again, small brick. We are just under 600 pages for this one, so still a mammoth. But this is the second book in the Soulfire saga, which is the only book from Matthew Ward that I currently have not read, so I would like to read that. Matthew Ward, of course, is the author of the Legacy trilogy, Legacy of Ash, Legacy of Steel, Legacy of Light, that I absolutely adored. The first book in the Soulfire saga, The Darkness Within Them, I didn't love, but I'm willing to continue because it's Matthew Ward and I really loved his other series. I don't know if just my expectations were maybe a little bit too high because of the Legacy series. That is a possibility. But I am willing to continue on with this one. And this one follows a woman called... Is her name Kat? Her name is Kat. Kat is a thief, and there is a heist that goes terribly, terribly wrong for Kat and hurls her life in an incredibly different direction to where she thought it was going to go. Kat has always had her eyes on this prize, and then in an effort to get that prize, her life really changes direction, and we're thrown into a world of magic and mayhem and lies and trickery and manipulation. And there is a character who I remember doing something at the end of book 1. I can remember what, I'm just not going to tell you because spoilers. There is a character that does something at the end of book 1 that I don't know if we can forgive them for, but I'm very intrigued to see how that goes for Kat. Power demands great personal sacrifice. Again, maybe I should look up a little bit of a recap on book 1, but I'm sure I'll just get it as I go. It hasn't been that long since I read book 1, only like a year or 2. And another sequel, I'm just on a sequel roll, it would appear. Will I actually read all of these? Who knows? But A Drop of Corruption. I am super stinking excited for this book. So super stinking excited. This is the sequel to The Tainted Cup, which was one of my favourite books of last year. I absolutely loved it. This, botanical, dark, creepy world with a murder mystery. And our main character, Din, is like an assistant to the main Inquisitor, which is Anna. But Anna is really bizarre. Kind of think Sherlock Holmes with the incredible genius, but kind of an eccentric way of behaving and displaying it. Her mind is wonderful, but her interactions with the rest of humanity is less wonderful, hence Din, and Din really helps her with the communications that she cannot do. She likes to be blindfolded to better focus on the facts of the case. And in the first one, there is a murder that is wrapped up in a much bigger plot. And I love it when there is seemingly like one insignificant thing that is absolutely not insignificant, because it is a plot within a plot within a plot that has a much bigger impact on the world that this is set in. And the world from this series is just gorgeous. This, as I say, dark, botanical, just something out of pure artwork. Like, you can tell from the cover alone, like, just absolutely gorgeous. And the way that the plants are so integral to their way of life, to the structure of their world, just, oh, gorgeous. Do I actually know where the sequel takes us? Less sure. But there's another murder. A body surfaces, and it becomes clear that this is the case of murder. Ooh. The killer seems to be able to pass through warded doors like a ghost and can predict every move Anna makes. But Anna's solved impossible cases before, and this time, with the stakes higher than ever, the investigators seemingly a step behind their adversary at every turn. Has Anna finally met an enemy she can't defeat? Of course not. She's a genius. I'm so excited. An impossible murder, an empire on the brink. This is what I mean, these, like, murders playing into a bigger plot. Gorgeous. Can't wait to read that one. Very, very excited. And then, finally, I don't think this one's a sequel. And this one is less of a mammoth, but one that I just cannot stop thinking about, is Lost Souls Meet Under a Full Moon. This is from the author of Lonely Castle in the Mirror. As I say, I don't think this is a sequel of any kind, but I loved Lonely Castle in the Mirror. 5 stars, made me cry, absolutely stuck me right in the feels. I was obsessed. I loved it. And this is a new release from that same author that I am very excited about, because if it is half as good as Lonely Castle, I'm going to love it. Is there anyone from the afterlife you wish to see? So asks the smart young man, Ayumi, to his clients who have come to him for reunion with the person who changed their life. His clients must follow strict rules. The deceased cannot have been summoned by anyone else. They may refuse, and they must meet under a full moon. With each reunion, tantalising clues are scattered for the reader to piece together the emotional truth in this mesmeric and unputdownable tale of kindness, compassion, and connection. Who would you like to see? That's what I loved so much about Lonely Castle in the Mirror. You had these individual characters who were all in this scenario for a reason, and it was like a puzzle of putting together why. And I really hope that this has got that, like, similar structure of each of these characters going to Ayumi to see their deceased loved one or person who changed their life. And I'm hoping that there's, like, a connection and stuff. I loved Lonely Castle. I'm very excited about this one as well. So as I say, not an enormous stack of books, but they are some chunky books. But on top of that, I will, of course, be trying to tackle another episode of Shelf Reflections. I don't know what shelf yet, but hopefully it'll be a good one of those. So let's add another few on top of there, unless one of these happens to land from that shelf, because I don't know what shelf it is yet. We'll tackle that as it comes. So I might be being overambitious anyway, but I did want to put a bit of a TBR together and just share the fun. Hopefully on my Patreon there will be a lot of fun this month with the Mammoth Challenge. We will have lots of sprints, and there's always sprints happening in my Patreon Discord, which is an incredibly active and wonderful community. So if you ever wanted to check that out, the link to that is down below. Little cheeky plug there. And also, little cheeky plug that I just wanted to put out, in case you didn't know, I am hoping to plan a trip to the Arctic Circle next March with Trover Trip. I haven't mentioned it in a little while, but I feel like I should, because there are still 5 early bird spots on this trip to go to Norway, Finland, and Sweden, triple header, with me in March of 2026. So I'm going to leave the link to that down below. It looks like an absolutely incredible trip, and I haven't been like plugging it and promoting it, so you might not have actually heard about it, and I just feel like I should let you know, because it sounds like a trip of a lifetime. There's husky sledding, there's reindeer safari, there's snowshoeing, there's this incredible cable car with the views, and it just sounds like an incredible trip. So I'm going to leave a link to that down below as well, if you wanted to check that out and maybe consider coming to the Arctic Circle with me on this incredibly hot day. I can think of nothing better than going to the Arctic Circle. Alright, that's enough rambling from me. Thanks for hanging out with me a bit. Let me know what you're planning on reading in May. Might you also tackle a mammoth or two? Let me know. But otherwise, I shall see you in whatever comes next, which will probably be that last vlog of April, and you'll be able to see how 30 and 30 went. Eek. Bye!